The praise continues to roll in for Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. The torch has been passed. The "We Want Bama" signs are in the garbage. And everyone, it is a national media frenzy right now over the Georgia Bulldogs. Earlier this week, NFL Network's Rich Eisen had a lot to say about Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs on the Rich Eisen show. He said Kirby Smart has built a juggernaut at Georgia. I'd say not only has Kirby built Georgia like Saban did at Alabama, but it looks like he one-upped him. When you kiss the trophy 2 years in a row, that's unprecedented in the college football playoff area. What he's building is truly unbelievable. I don't know if it's unbelievable. We've seen Alabama have a dynasty. Nick Saban's won 6 national titles. You can't really forget about that. So this is not some unbelievable thing. No, it has not happened in the college football playoff era, but Kirby's getting it done. This is why he was hired. I think Georgia fans knew where this was going, what this could be. But now you've got the national media, guys who don't necessarily cover college football, looking at what's going on saying, wow, Georgia's got it rolling. They're the new thing. They are the new Alabama. They're dominating. Not only are they winning games on Saturdays and winning championships, but half the roster, it seems like, is coming out and making plays in the NFL and going in the first round. Everyone's noticing. The college football analysts have been high on Georgia for a long, long time. But now the NFL guys, I think, are saying, you know what? Alabama is not the number one football machine in college football right now. It's Georgia. Dan Patrick. I love Dan Patrick over at NBC. He also joined in on the Georgia Fun. He said Stetson Bennett is one of the great college quarterbacks of all time. And he's right. He said Stetson Bennett has firmly cemented himself as one of the great college quarterbacks of all time. He's Georgia's Tim Tebow. He seemed unflappable. He made the big play when you needed a big play. The last 2 years, he did everything you want a great quarterback to do. And then he also added, he's got a little Drew Brees in him. I'm not sure he's got the arm talent that Drew Brees has, one of the best quarterbacks ever. I'm a Falcons guy. Hate to admit it sometimes, but I love the Birds, and I hate Drew Brees, right? Respect the guy, but I'm glad he's not a Saint. But I know how good he is. Not sure Stetson Bennett's that good, but dude should be drafted. His age is going to hurt him. No one wants to draft a 25-year-old quarterback when they could draft a 21, 22-year-old quarterback who's still learning and has, maybe a little bigger than Stetson Bennett, but undersized, 25 years old. But the dude's a winner. He's a gamer. He's mobile. He's got a better arm than people think. And people are starting to notice it. And it's not just Kirk Herbstreit, a college football guy saying, well, Georgia's, they're the Kings, right? They've got the crown. They're the team to look out for. It's everyone. I don't watch ESPN a whole lot unless there's a ball game on. That's the only time I'll really watch ESPN. But I'm sure you've got those guys, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp and whoever they've got on. I don't know what they said about the Dogs, but I'm sure it's along the same line as Georgia's one-upped Alabama. They're doing it better than Alabama right now. They are the machine. Stetson Bennett, all-time quarterback. I made a video, I guess, last week. I don't know if it was, I think it was after the Ohio State win, when I said Stetson Bennett should be a Hall of Famer in College Football Hall of Fame. You can't talk about college football 20, 50 years from now. You can't talk about the history of the game without mentioning this 2-year stretch from the Georgia Bulldogs. And you can't mention the Georgia Bulldogs and these 2 national championships without mentioning Stetson Bennett. So he's not an All-American, which I think is a prerequisite to be in the College Football Hall of Fame, but the story is the best. This is the best story we've probably ever seen in college football. The state of Georgia, city of Atlanta, it is the capital of college football. That everything is centered around. This is a college football state. It's a football state, but people care more about the Dogs than the Falcons. That's what it is. And when you've got the South Georgia kid leading Georgia to 2 national championships, Heisman finalist, 4 playoff offensive MVP awards, 2 in the national championship. It speaks for itself. He should be a College Football Hall of Famer. It's in Atlanta. The College Football Hall of Fame is in Atlanta, Georgia, where this kid's made a lot of plays. Stetson Bennett owns the city of Atlanta, and he's got one loss. He's got one loss to Tide in the SEC championship game, I guess, last year. but it doesn't matter. It didn't matter because they won the big game in Indianapolis. But when Dan Patrick is saying this stuff and Rich Eisen's saying this stuff, it does mean a lot because these guys have covered the game of football for a long, long time. Maybe not necessarily college football, but everyone is on board right now. The bandwagon's full, right? If you weren't watching Georgia lose to Vanderbilt, I guess that was 06 and 16. I may have gotten those two mixed up. But if you weren't there when Tennessee threw the Hail Mary against Georgia, you can't jump on the bandwagon now. This team, this program, Georgia fans have seen a lot of heartbreaking games over the years, and they deserve this one, and everyone sees it now. So Georgia fans should feel good about being on top. If you've got any Tennessee buddies, they're salty right now. Florida has no idea, it seems, what they're doing. They just lost their incoming quarterback. Auburn, another rebuilding year for Auburn. It seems like they're talking about that all the time. Kentucky, I think they might take a step back. Clemson is just, they've got their feet in the mud. They're not going forward anytime soon. The way Dabo is running that program, not adapting to NIL, not adapting to the transfer portal, they're going to get left behind. And we could see that next year. They might lose their ACC crown to Florida State if they are not careful. Miami's just going to keep paying for recruits and losing games. That's what they do. South Carolina is showing that they are going in the right direction. Shane Beamer, I think, knows what he's doing. Not sure they're going to beat Tennessee and Clemson again next year like they were. They could beat Clemson again. I'm not sold on the Tigers. I like the quarterback, but I just think they're going in the wrong direction. So Ohio State's going to be really good next year. Alabama should be really good next year. We'll see if Southern Cal can build a defense, because right now they don't have one. It looks like a high school defense in the state of Georgia. I've seen better defensive play from Mill Creek and Langston Hughes and a lot of other programs that look better than what Southern Cal's putting out there. So I'm not a believer in the Trojans unless they learn how to tackle. Maybe do a few tackling drills this spring. It's going to help them out in the fall. Texas is not back. They're not going to be back next year. Texas A&M, it's just fun to laugh at. There are a lot of programs that just don't seem to know what they're doing right now. Florida State does. I think they should have a really good year next year. If they lose 4 games, that's going to be really, really funny because they've got a lot of talent, and it seems like the staff there knows what they're doing. But this is the golden era of Georgia football. You've got analysts from all over the country, again, who don't necessarily cover college football, but they've noticed. They said, all right, Georgia's the top dog, and they're going to be that way possibly again next year too. I think listen, Nick Saban is looking at all this too, and he's saying, all right, I'm writing down all this, what David Pollock said in front of him. Guys, Dan Patrick, Rich Eisen, whoever. I'm sure a lot of other guys were jumping on board the Georgia train, talking about how great they are. They've taken over Alabama, and they're kings of college football. Nick Saban and the Tide aren't really going anywhere. They're going to be really good next year. LSU was on the rise. Didn't mention them earlier. I think it's going to be an Alabama-LSU battle again for the West. They should be playing Georgia. Georgia has a really favorable schedule. Cupcake schedule, out of conference, not exactly their fault. They said, hey, we'll go to Norman, Oklahoma in the year 2023. We'll go out there and play them because that's what Georgia does. They want to go out and play big-time non-conference games. They do that as well as anyone in the country. But not this year, not their fault, but there is no Oklahoma due to the schedule conference realignment type of stuff. So out of conference is extremely easy, way too easy. And then the SEC schedule is favorable as well. They should be able to take care of business in conference. I think they should be undefeated going in the SEC championship game. And if that's the case, they're going to be in the playoff. Again, 2-time champ, undefeated regular season, and they're going to be in. It will not matter what happens in the SEC championship game. If they lose and that's their only loss of the season, they're going to be in. They've earned the right. They're that team where they're going to get the benefit of the doubt because they're the best team in college football, and they have been for the past 2 years. So if they're on the border there, the committee is going to want to get Georgia in because of how they have played once they are in. So Georgia's on top. Everyone in college football knows it, but now everyone in the sports world and everyone in the NFL knows it as well. Dogs are on top. If you're a Georgia fan, you better enjoy it. It's not going to be like this forever. It might still be this way for a few more years. As long as Kirby's around, they're going to be one of the best programs in college football. But right now, they are on top, 2-time champions. Enjoy it, and I hope you stick around, Dog Post, for the 23 season, because I think that one's going to be special as well. Guys, thanks for watching these videos. We really appreciate it. Stay tuned to the next one coming up right now. I'll see you over on Dog Post.